Hello everyone for MLG TV, this is Nursky coming to you guys with this cool play matchup. First off, spawning as the Red Protoss, winner of MLG Dallas. He of course is going to be Naniwa. His opponent spawning as the Blue Zerg has been making quite the comeback recently as far as his results go. Going to be looking to try and take some games here and advance himself in the pool play matchups. He, of course, is going to be Haypro. This is going to be on the map MLG GSL Dual Site. This is a two-player map, so both players will know where the other player is right from the onset of the game. We see Naniwa immediately going to be going with a 9 scout. Wants to know exactly everything Haypro is up to. Make sure Haypro can't get away with a fast hatchery, which always is pretty important for the Protoss player. If they can prevent a Zerg from going hatch first, it does make quite the considerable distance. Or difference, I should say. And we see that Haypro actually looks like he was going to be gearing up to try and go hatch first. But Naniwa is going to intercept that drone, will prevent that from happening. Haypro probably going to have to throw down a pool, but we do see actually building our drone has not thrown down the pool just yet, but now down goes the pool finally, and he will just have to go with his pool. Will continue fighting this probe though, wants to try and either force Naniwa to put down a pylon or pull the probe off. Can't see Naniwa going to be walling in his front here, getting a gateway first up on the high ground, has the assimilator on the way as well. Haypro is going to just give up the battle there for the moment and is going to scout out what Naniwa is up to. Get a good look of everything going on at the front of Naniwa's base. It is always important for the Zerg player to know what opening the Protoss player does go with. We do see that Haypro has not taken a gas hit, so really does want to get this expansion on as soon as possible. Going to be going after the probe of Naniwa, but not going to be able to pull it off, so probably going to have to take a gas here fairly shortly, although it doesn't look like he's going to be doing it still. Looks like he's still going to just be going to knock down this pylon and go the more economic route. Building an Overlord now. We'll have that out momentarily. Does get the drone scout into the base of Naniwa. We'll see that Naniwa's taking 2 gases, which can be a little bit of important information. Generally means that the Protoss player is going to either be going sentry heavy or teching. So we'll give Haypro an idea of what Naniwa should be up to. You see cybernetics core about 50% done. You see Naniwa did end up canceling the pylon, and now Haypro will get his expansion hatchery underway. Also will be taking his first gas. Doesn't want to wait too long on that gas. Zerglings with speed versus Zerglings without speed is such a huge difference, especially in this matchup. And especially if the Protoss decides to actually go for some kind of pressure. You do see Naniwa over here is trying to go with the Stalker first, so it's going to be forced to actually throw down an additional pylon there to actually wall in his front. Not going to be able to get away with not having that Stalker. Haypro does still have a drone in the base, and Naniwa actually cancels the extra pylon there. So just going to wall off his front there with a sentry. So he's going to skip the Zealots, trying to cut a couple of corners, maybe get a couple extra probes, increase his tech timing, and it does look like he is going to get away with it because right now Haypro busy right now actually chasing this probe all around the map. Seeing if he can actually take it out. Probe will go back towards the natural of Haypro. Haypro's natural is not up. Does have a queen at his natural. Now has a queen also at his main. Mined enough gas for the metabolic boost, and now we'll be pulling off of gas and focusing once again on his economy. You see that Naniwa is going to be basically going for a fairly quick expansion here with absolutely actually no extra gateways, so maybe going to be putting his gateways on the low ground once this pylon finishes up. We'll have to wait and see. So going for an extremely, I guess you could call this, greedy expansion. So definitely going to be relying on the fact that Haypro is not doing some kind of an all-in here to actually be able to get away with this. Had Haypro been going for some kind of a Roachling all-in or something, this would have been potentially game over. But we'll get away with this just because Haypro is not going to be going for this, is basically just droning up right now. If we look at the income, we can see both players pretty even right now, 26 to 26. Haypro built a couple of extra lings, but not a lot. We'll be scouting this expansion nexus and probably can't be too happy about the fact that that nexus is quite a ways close to getting completed. Naniwa is going to be actually going for a very fast Stargate, so going to be going 3-gate Stargate here. So Naniwa actually could be going for a push timing behind this expansion nexus, or maybe be going for the Stargate just in case he does have to deal with some kind of a Roach Ling all-in type of play from Haypro. Although Haypro definitely not going that route in any way, shape, or form. Has now gotten up an evolution chair. It's going to be interesting to see what he does go for as far as upgrades are first, because that will give us a pretty good clue as to the type of a unit composition he is going to be going for. And he is going to get the melee attacks level 1, so he's going to have a mostly Zergling based army. Has not started his lair yet, interestingly enough. So it could be getting up roaches too, but it is taking all of his gases now. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Haypro trying to poke in here and kill a couple of pros. We do see he ends up actually just getting a worker or two. And then Naniwa is able to fend him off. Naniwa, though, does have a Void Ray on the way. Going to try and deny Haypro's ability to actually get this third expansion up. We do see this expansion is not going to be anywhere near finished. Haypro feverishly trying to connect the creep here. 2 creep tumors even from this extra queen. Going to be advancing that creep forward towards his third, but I do not believe he's going to actually have it there in time for this Void Ray, so could potentially force the cancel on that third, which would be absolutely huge for Naniwa's 2-base Protoss. Definitely much stronger than 2-basing Zerg in most cases, so long as the Zerg player can't get like some kind of an extremely good positioning or something like that. Definitely would be on the Protoss player to make the mistake more so than the Zerg player. And anyway, very good positioning of his units. That Void Ray now on the way. Going to be immediately heading towards the gold base and then probably the third of Haypro. That base is now almost complete. We do see even a Spore Crawler on the way. Do not know if Haypro is actually, yes, he has seen the Stargate, so he does know that the Stargate is there. And there you go, Naniwa now going to be immediately going for this third. Going to be trying to take it out. 2 queens on the way. Creep advancing towards it, but the creep might not actually make it there in time. This is going to be extremely close to see if Haypro can actually defend it from this Void Ray. And yes, he will defend. Absolutely huge for Haypro over there to be able to defend that expansion. We'll get the Spore Crawler down, has these queens. Naniwa's going to do what he can with this Void Ray, see if he can poke in somewhere around Haypro's base, but Haypro has Spore Crawlers up in all of his lines. Now even going to be putting down a Hydralisk then, so going for a Ling Hydralisk composition here. Also getting an extra hatchery and a Baneliness, so going to be going Ling, Bane, Ling, Hydra here. And now we see Haypro following, Naniwa I should say, following this up with some Phoenixes and Void Rays. So he's going to try, if he can, to take out a few of the queens or to lift some drones, pick off some overlords. We'll get one overlord. Haypro does not have speed on those overlords, but here comes all of the queens of Haypro. Now needs to be careful, does not want to lose any of the queens if possible. Will force Naniwa to cancel that Graviton Beam and retreat, because he does not quite have enough force to deal with that many queens. We see Haypro actually hiding some Lings all over the map here, but Naniwa going to do his best to try and harass with these Phoenixes and these Void Rays. Now moving back into the main once again. Queen hiding by the Spore Crawlers. Very good decision there. Will be able to pick off an Overlord or two. Needs to be careful. Does not want to let this Queen get too close here. And now out comes some Hydralisks, and Naniwa is actually going to be forced to back up. Does not have enough Graviton Beam to lift all of these Hydras. So these Hydras now are going to help Haypro to be in a very good position here. You see Haypro still focusing on the melee upgrades, so not going to be focusing heavily on these Hydralisks. Getting the +2 melee attacks, is getting the Hydralisk range, but not going to actually be trying to go with a heavy Hydralisk composition. And here we go. We do see Haypro going to probably force Naniwa to cancel his third, but Naniwa is going to be coming down here to try and defend this. And, oh, Haypro actually backs off. Probably could have actually killed that expansion, but ends up letting Naniwa keep the expansion. Retreats with those Lings. Did not want to lose the Lings, but probably could have actually forced the cancel on that expansion. So now we do see Haypro is going to be retreating. Probably going to need to take a 4th base soon, because once Naniwa gets up on 3-base economy, he is going to need to stay ahead of Naniwa. Tons of creep tumors down here by Haypro. I do like to see this. A good amount of creep spread going across the map. Right now Naniwa, we do see starting to gear up some extra gateways here, but does not have any detection just yet. Could get an observer out. Does have the robotics facility. Also getting a robotics bay, a Twilight Council, so just mad teching here from Naniwa. So a very, very greedily focused opening, I would say, at the bare minimum in the early stages of these games for Naniwa. Going very heavy on the economy, going much lighter on the army, trying to focus on these harass units to actually keep Haypro from attacking him, and it has worked so far. So he is getting up that 3rd base, has plenty of probes already saturating it, and now is going to be massively teching up and undoubtedly bolstering his army off of this 3-base look quite considerably. We do see a lot of Lings out for Haypro. Hydralisk out as well, and now a tech switch going to be happening into some Infestors. So I do like this transition to be going with the Ling Infestor look. Now, Naniwa will not have any Colossus for a little while yet. We do see the first Colossus in production. Does not have the Thermal Lance upgrade started though. So until the Thermal Lance is completed, actually the Colossus are actually a lot less scary than they would be otherwise. And now we do see Haypro is going to be going for the Baneling drops with this Ling, Hydralisk, and into Infestor composition. Just a couple of Hydras here to try and deal with the air units of Naniwa. Do see Haypro is going to be going for the gold expansion. Would be huge if you can get that up. Scouting in now with an Overlord to check on all the tech of Naniwa. Do not know if he actually did see the Colossus or not, but yes, he actually did see everything, so got a very good look at everything Naniwa is up to. Knows he needs a Spire, and that is exactly what he immediately puts down in the back here of his main, getting the Spire so he can get up those Corruptors to deal with these Colossus. And we do see, interesting enough, Naniwa going to be pushing out once again with these air units to try and do a little bit more harassment to Haypro. Haypro wisely not actually taking this expansion, immediately going for this gold base. If you can get that up, it would be absolutely huge. Has plenty of creep spread towards this gold base, whereas he actually has very little towards this base. So just from creep spread alone, much better decision to take that gold base rather than actually going for that other base. Not to mention it will yield him quite a bit more income. And now we do see Haypro is going to be looking to push out, throws down a very good fungal growth there that will lock that Void Ray in place, and Haypro takes out both of those Void Rays. That will take away a lot of the harass potential now of Naniwa. We do see even Haypro having a couple of units over here, and it looks like he is going to be gearing up for a Baneling drop here at the third of Naniwa. If he can kill a lot of these probes, it would be absolutely huge to try and put Naniwa in a position where Haypro can actually get a considerable lead and maybe win this game. Question is, will Naniwa notice in time? Because here comes the Overlord, going to be dropping those Banelings. How many kills can he get? Drops one of the Banelings, but a little bit too delayed, and will not actually get hardly any kills at all. Just one Baneling left, and it actually gets a ton of probes. Holy cow. 18 workers now killed for Liquid Haypro, so that was absolutely huge. But Naniwa is starting to gear up a pretty fearsome force. Does have the +1 attacks, but we see Haypro does have the +2, +1 Carapace as well, getting the +1 flyer attacks for his Corruptors. 10 more Banelings in production, some Corruptors in production as well, so a very fearsome force here for Haypro. A lot of Overlords out to potentially do Baneling drops. Is max now, so probably should be pushing sometime soon. Does have this gold base up, not going to be getting a Spine Crawler there to help defend it just a little bit, building a couple of extra drones and doing a big drone transfer over towards that gold base. So a huge push now, gearing up to come up for Haypro. Going to need to get very good positioning here on Naniwa. Might actually split up his forces and try and distract and take out the third of Naniwa. And here comes a bunch of Lings moving forward. We'll see where Naniwa's army is positioned. And now here comes a lot of Overlords, some with Banelings, some without. Phoenix is going to come in there and try and pick off one of the Overlords, but not going to be able to do that. Lots of Lings in this composition for Haypro, but a lot of this is going to really depend on if he can get a very good Baneling drop. We see Naniwa starting to spread out his forces, but his forces actually clumping up. These Banelings could do a ton of damage if Haypro starts dropping them, but actually not dropping them right away. Now starting to drop some of the Banelings. Actually not getting a very good coverage with the Banelings, though, so I do not know how this is going to work out. Going to be extremely close. Haypro needs to get those Overlords out of there. Does not want to get supply cap. Trying to do as much damage as he can. Does take out two of the Colossus. All the Colossus do go down. But right now we do see Naniwa reinforcing with a lot of Blink Stalkers, and Naniwa is going to actually be able to hold Haypro. Did not quite get the amount of damage done that you actually would have wanted to. Maybe built even a few too many Corruptors. We do see that Haypro is reinforcing with a lot of Lings. Could catch all of these Stalkers. That would be absolutely huge. A couple of Zelts come in to reinforce, but these Lings going to potentially clean up all of these Stalkers. If Haypro could get all these Stalkers, it would be absolutely huge. Gets quite a few of the Stalkers, but now here comes the Colossus to try and reinforce. Might be able to actually pick off this Colossus with the Lings if he wanted to, but actually Haypro going to just retreat with these Lings for now, reinforcing with 5 more Infestors. Also has the Hive Tech done. Does have the Greater Spire on the way. We'll be transitioning into Broodlords very shortly with these Corruptors. Always good to get that Broodlord transition up as soon as possible with Corruptors, since they are only useful so long as your opponent does have Colossus out on the map. Also, the Adrenal Glands upgrade getting started, the +3 melee attacks. No Neural Parasite as of yet, so not going to be going that route, but does have a lot more Infestors, so going to be going towards that kind of Infestor Broodlord composition. Is doing a halfway decent job of spreading this creep. Wouldn't mind seeing him spread this creep tuner a little bit more and maybe take his 5th. We do see now that Naniwa is gearing up to actually try and take his 4th, but now here we go with the huge Ling counter by Haypro. Going to try and take out all these forces of Naniwa. Will take out quite a few of them, but Naniwa doing an extremely good job trying to save a couple of those Stalkers. Needs to get off some good fungal growths with these Infestors to try and make it worth it. Does actually get off several very good fungal growths. 2 fungal growths remaining. Haypro needs to really just use this last fungal growth before these Infestors gets picked off, but I do not think he's going to get down. Does get it down. Will damage the shields of some of these Stalkers, but will not actually kill the Stalkers outright. But a lot of these Stalkers are badly injured now here for Naniwa. Naniwa is going to be gearing up to take this gold base, though. We do see Haypro starting to take his 5th. Might have even wanted to consider taking this base, even though it does seem a little counterintuitive. There is quite a bit of a gap in between these two bases. It might have been a little easier to defend. Hard to tell for sure. We do see Naniwa, though, is going to be gearing up for a big push out here. So the question is, will Haypro be able to hold it? Does have a lot of Broodlords. Does not have any Corruptors at all, though, and lost all of his Infestors. So actually no Infestors to support this. Might pick off one of the Colossus of Naniwa. That would be huge, but it does look like Naniwa will hold. It's almost instantly frying up these Lings. Surprised actually that Haypro maybe didn't go for a little bit more of a roach transition, still building a lot of Lings. A couple of Infestors are out on the map, and that's basically all he has to defend this. So it's going to really be all up to these Broodlords to get a lot of damage done. But you see Naniwa immediately trying to pick off these Phoenixes. The fungal growth does go down, will catch a lot of these Phoenixes. Can he get off the fungal again? Actually not fungling for a moment there. Really needs to fungal these Phoenixes, but not doing it. The Phoenixes are just making mincemeat out of these Broodlords. Now here comes the Queens. Could throw down Transfusion, but doesn't actually do it. And there, just in time, gets off the Transfusion. Queens trying to fry those forces there, but now Naniwa is moving out. He had to use a lot of those fungals, though, on those Phoenixes. Has not actually killed the Phoenixes yet. Really needs to get those Phoenixes killed. Does still have a fungal of not using it, though, and losing a lot of these Broodlords. This could be a huge blunder now for Haypro. Just falling apart, Naniwa marching forward, taking advantage of the situation, and Haypro could be in a lot of trouble here. I thought he was in a very good position, but a couple of mistakes there in his control, and it has now cost him the game. The GG goes down, and Naniwa will win game number 1 and go up 1-0 over Haypro. Honestly, guys, I thought Haypro was in a really good position to maybe get some good damage done, but a little bit of an ill-advised attack with the Lings and Infestor lost him a lot of his Infestors. And then when he reinforcing with a lot of Lings once again, but also did not have very many Infestors to support those Broodlords, let those Phoenixes get far too many pot shots off, and it really kind of hurt him that he didn't have any more Corruptors whatsoever, especially knowing that Naniwa had some Phoenixes left, so a little bit of miscontrol there and basically cost him the game. So congrats to Naniwa on game number 1. Very excellently played game. And we'll be moving to game number 2, guys. And for MLG TV, this is Nursky, and I will see you guys at that game 2.